Hey, there she is.
Is that working?
It is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's so zoomed into my face.
That's why I didn't start on my face, because I figured y'all might like to see the violence.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of anything cool that's out in my...
I didn't feature this side of the teacup yesterday. It says Morsche. Do you know what that means in German?
No.
Rotten.
There. I got the play set. Oh, I feel like it would be so much better if we did the talk outside. Maybe
Right.
I'll come outside for a little bit and I can come in.
It's a little chilly out here, but it's pretty nice.
Or at least we can start outside.
All the little babies popping up. Okay, I'll flip it around to my face maybe here in a minute. Walk over here to see the seepage.
Ooh!
It's starting to finally rust down the sculpture, so.
That looks awesome.
Okay.
Got some local traffic.
Yeah, is that too much interference?
No, I think I'm gonna end up still going inside.
Okay. Because I'm out here near the 270 with the overpass. Okay, well, like I said earlier, I know I told you I have a little bit of the sniffles from my allergies, so I'll try to refrain from sneezing, but we'll see how it goes. How about that?
Yeah. I know that maybe I'll end up opening the garage and I can sit out. I want to sit on the hammock, but I can't really hold my coffee and
Oh,
phone.
yeah, right?
That's okay.
Maybe y'all can hear the hawk and some of the robins, Carolina wrens out here while I'm...
Let me see. Yeah. Got some nice chairs and stuff that I can sit on. Look at this beautiful tree.
Oh, how pretty.
Yeah. There's a couple around they don't have one. So for some reason, normally they're pretty pink, but this year they're really white this year.
Mm-hmm. They've started falling. The petals have started falling off of them.
It's not too cold.
No, not too bad.
Oh yeah, here's my undergrad sculpture garden.
Yeah,
this one used to have cloth.
Random pieces out, don't we?
There's always a bunch of weird shit. I always like, this is just a piece of bark. And this one's my favorite. It's actually my back, so like it's right next to the walkway, so people are probably always like, what the heck? But it's like covering up the storm drain. Or not the storm drain, I guess that's a pipe of some kind.
It's utilitarian.
Yeah. My latest project for the week was painting our mailbox.
Oh, yeah?
So it's all nice and HOA standard.
All right, so you said you had coffee?
Yeah.
You gonna drink coffee with me? What's your receptacle look like? I want to see it.
All right. So I have coffee with peppermint in it.
That's
with
cool.
the peppermint candy cane.
Why not? I wouldn't expected anything less.
Christmas all year round. So it's like a little mini coffee pot mug.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It's from the second movie.
Okay.
It was the only awesome mug I had at my parents' house since I'm here.
Yep. When I ran down to the campus to grab my stuff and the apartment yesterday, I grabbed a couple more of my mugs so I'd have a variety.
Yeah, I know I have a couple good mugs at the apartment, but that's okay. I really like this one too.
Yeah.
So, trying to think. So, Flick.
We're having a couple of difficulties. Hopefully, I think it should be okay on our end. It's for some reason Instagram's been cutting in and out today for some reason. So
yeah,
hopefully this will work out, and I'll try to live or post the broadcast afterward if I save it correctly this time. Learning all the new technical things, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, for those who are out there, welcome to Artist Chatting with Tea. This is our maiden voyage, and I have Alyssa Imes here, my one of my best friends and roomie most of the time, and we're missing each other. We're not too far away. We're actually pretty close, but still,
far enough.
30 minutes drive, I guess, to Emmitsburg from here. So
yeah,
it's far enough, but we're just a phone call away most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a couple of topics to talk about. We already talked about your teacup and what you're drinking and stuff like that. You want to go ahead and sort of get started with a little bit of how you, your family, maybe your practice has been affected by the coronavirus and everything?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely interesting. So I don't know if everyone knows, but both me and Lauren go to University of Maryland. Lauren's in her third year and I'm in my first. So we kind of had to just stop being in the studio, and we had a day where we were like, let's go get everything because we're not going to be allowed to be in the building anymore. So we did that, and then it's kind of funny because my mom was really excited that I was moving out because there wasn't art creations all over the house.
And then they all came right back.
They came right back, and she was like, oh God. Yeah, so we have actually 7 of us. We have my mom and dad, my 2 brothers. They came back from Morgantown, West Virginia, WVU. And then I have Steve here, who's my fiance. He's here as well. He's actually not able to see his parents because they're in the older margin of the coronavirus. So they kind of told us to like stay away from them until like. So we've been we missed a family Zoom with them the other day, which sucked. But it's been interesting. It's actually kind of really nice. Having the kids in the cul-de-sac. We have our neighbors have like 7 kids, and they all come out and play every day when they're like taking a break from their schoolwork. And they're all really cute. And they're always wondering what a weird thing I'm up to.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh my gosh, always. They're like, what is that? And they're like,
anytime the postal carrier, they like park in the parking lot next to us and walk between the 3 houses right here, and they always like, what is she doing in the garage now?
That is definitely, it's really funny. I try to use I guess I can walk you guys around. So I don't know, there's still more people tuning in. So maybe I'll explain my mug one more time, and then I can explain what's in it.
Yeah.
And then I'll show you guys my studio, what it has become. So I have my Dory mug, which is like a little mini teapot. Not teapot, coffee pot. There we go. There the word. And then it's just Dory. So, and then I got coffee with peppermint candy cane in it. So Christmas all year round with me. So I will show you guys. So this is my front yard. There's my sculpture mobile. And so now what I've done is I had to come home and clean our garage. It was a mess. So that was the first thing. My dad was really excited. So I went ahead and I brought down all these extra shelves that we have, and I brought as many materials and things I can do at the house. And so I've been working on some sculptures and doing some weird tests with some wax that are, I don't know how I feel about those right now. I like them, but they're not there yet. And then I got my hammock. I just put that up today.
Yeah, stay comfy.
Oh my God, yeah. And
Great.
then I do, my favorite part is doing the angle grinding on that table right there. Is hilarious. Yeah. It actually works really, really great. So I'm trying to think what else has changed. It threw me for a loop. I have actually been really healthy and trying to be as active as possible and not feeling like I need to stay on the couch all day, because that's definitely something that I feel. So
yeah, it's
I've been running.
Very sleepy, especially with allergies coming and going and all of that, for sure.
Yeah. So
but you did get some rest over spring break a little bit, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I refused to. I didn't want to touch any of my work. Actually, it was like a weird blessing, because I was getting super burnt out and I was kind of really uninspired in my practice for like, it was kind of during the time when it was super cold and gross out, and the days weren't very long. So I was like, I had no energy. But then when this happened, it kind of forced me to like be like, all right, sit down, rest, and then recoup, and then let's do it. And then of course I'm back.
Find your new normal, right?
Yeah. So now I'm back, and crazy, and just trying to stay busy, and but it's been really nice. The one thing about this virus that I'm like eternally not grateful for, but that I appreciate, is the time with my family that I'm getting right now. We play board games. Like Steve has converted us to play Ticket to Ride. We started playing it with his family, and this game is strategic, and it's just fun, and we're really competitive. So sometimes it either is like a fine night, or it's like everyone's going to bed because I didn't get my tickets completed. So I don't get like that, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, there's been a couple of nights where we've been staying up late playing Magic the Gathering, and like I'm trying to learn this new deck that he just built on the online arena thing, and it's very complicated. And I get very frustrated the more, like sleepier that I get. So it's like, no, I'm done. Goodbye. I'm going to bed.
I never, oh God, yeah. It's like some days I want to take a nap, and I'm like, no, I never take naps. But today I had to take a nap because I ran like 4.68 miles. I was going to do 5, and then I was going to be late for my class, Zoom class.
Oh yeah, you're Zoom.
So I had to cut it short, but I was dead anyway. So,
well, how's all of that going? I know, like, this is our first week getting back to jumping in with Zoom and all of that. How's it going?
It's been actually really interesting. Our first sculpture casting class online. It was us just like debriefing and explaining like how we're going to go about it. So originally they were going to do, our first project was styrofoam and Vapo sculptures for aluminum. They got those done, and then we were right on the process of starting a ceramic shell wax project, as well as making a pattern for 2-part or like 3-part molds with cores for them. So we ended up actually having them talk about their patterns today and try to get them to a state where if next fall they want to come in during studio hours, or
Right.
if they want to take advanced casting, they can do that, and then that way they can still cast their pattern.
That's good.
But then, so we actually had to almost make a hybrid project, like a fourth project. So originally they were going to do ceramic shell. So they find like an object that they then use silicone and Dawn dish soap to make
Right.
a mold off of. They make copies of that object, and then they slice it up and make a sculpture that they can dip in ceramic shell. So we're not doing ceramic shell, but we are having them finish their sculpture. So then that way they can, if they do want to come do ceramic shell next fall, they can as well. But we're going to critique them and talk about them over Zoom. And that's what we did today. We talked about a couple people's patterns. They kind of had to like hold them up, like, here's my thing. So it was really cool to actually see it. There's some normalcy again, which is really nice.
Right.
Seeing all their faces and seeing that they're still getting work done is nice. It also reminds me like to keep getting stuff done. But I'm excited for their fourth project. They're going to go out and they're going to do either like plaster molds in the ground or impressions from like a natural area, and then either make something with that sculpturally wise, relief wise, or 3D wise, or they might be taking, if their pattern can do it, they might be doing an alginate mold of their pattern, and then they're going to try to pour different materials like maybe cement or plaster or all sorts of different stuff. We even talked about some plastics. So yeah, so that's been really interesting.
Yeah, it's me and Jessica were talking yesterday, so we're figuring just like doing some Zoom things with the printmaking students and trying to figure out where we were going to go from there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much covers the new part of how our practice is going and stuff like that. So you want?
I just say go with it. Like, if you're making weird work, it's a weird time. So like accept it and go with it.
It's like I never would have expected to start doing this at all. So, you know, odd times call for interesting and new things and trying
casting
to
with Jello
community together.
Elizabeth said casting with Jello. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Good for Easter
Jello
too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, why don't you sort of tell us a little bit about, sorry, as I wipe my allergies. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, I guess how you draw connections between your body and community, like some of your performance work, as well as how you draw that the connotations with the textile work that you've been working on the past couple of years.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I guess I'll start with the textile ones because that one I'm pretty. So I got into knitting in undergrad, more like actually looming, which is where you have a structure that you loop around pegs and then you overlay and overlay until it builds up this fabric in a specific shape from that loom. And I started it originally for anxiety. I was just doing it as a hobby, and then I realized that there was something kind of there, and then I started making these connections about string itself or yarn or whatever source that you're using to weave or knit is so weak, but when you start to compress them into these knots and you start to make all these loops and connections, it becomes this huge strong network that can actually withstand weight and balance, and there can be tension. And so I started thinking about like the idea of like us as people. You have a single thread within your life. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that goes around, so there's some loops and crazy things, but you also make all these connections with people, so you have this networking in this and these stories and these things that create this fabric, as
Right.
as cliche as it sounds, fabric of your life and your story and your mental history. And there's these connections where you feel supported by all these people around you, and sometimes you don't feel supported, so then there's like a dropped stitch where there's a part where things start to fall
Unraveling.
apart. Yeah, where it's like scars as well is definitely a thing where it's really weird to see when something in the pattern, if you skip a stitch and it just starts like, it like will work all the way down to the bottom and just completely detach itself with all, and then your pattern is screwed up and your strength and your fabric is screwed up as well. So I started off with those ideas, and then I've been really trying to experiment with different materials to actually knit. This past semester, I started knitting with sewed together bed sheets and actually putting structure within these loops by putting baling wire. So all of a sudden, these forms, instead of being like floppy fabric, started to have some like actual structure and weight to them, which was really cool because I thought it was going to be able to like stand up in these tube forms. And then I finished them, and then they all just went, and I was like, dang it. So like,
Yeah, they start collapsing on their
yeah,
own weight.
so it's like the structure was still there, but it was also being destructive at the same time. And so that was just formalistically, but just that happening within those pieces of work was really important as well. And I'm trying to think connections within the community and performance wise.
Right. Because you were a dancer through
Yes.
high school and even undergrad and everything, right?
Yeah. So I started competitively dancing when I was 7 years old, and then I started. I started when I was 3, so I competitively started when I was 7, and I did it all the way through, like crazy intensity, like 4 to 5 nights a week, 5 hours a night. Like I had a lot of energy, still do. And it became this awesome. I'm so grateful for that time because I became confident with how my body moves within the space around me. And I started to understand that a lot when we started doing improv and just like letting movements come to you and choreography. And then I started noticing they would teach you about these like extensions of your body when it comes to visual line. And there was just something, me as an artist, I was like, oh, that is so awesome that like you can point your foot towards that wall and visually there's this line that just like goes off. And so I started playing around with that idea in my performances, this idea of like connection to the space around you and your weight and your presence when you touch surfaces and you press down. And there's something really interesting there.
There's a large connection between that and a lot of your sculptural work too, because you had those connections between or implied lines even.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I miss performance. I'm trying to actually get back into it. I miss having my body within my work. So I was trying to fight that for a little bit to see if I could be more like, let's do sculpture, but I shouldn't fight it. I should just like let it flow and
Yeah, definitely.
see what comes about it.
And some of your performance work was very dynamic. The videos and everything that I've seen, like the clay piece where you had your body completely covered and was dancing around and letting the pieces break off. It was very, very nice. And then there was a mountain climbing piece, I believe, where you had...
Yeah, that one I need to like read. I did those in undergrad, and I need to like either make new versions of those pieces with more people, because there is just something there in those that I feel like needs to be dived into a lot more. I had I had this, it was literally an uphill battle. I casted weights of my own body. And the whole idea of the series was these idea of pressure points within your body, like your joints, like where you touch the ground.
Right.
So in that piece, I anchored all of the weights to all of my joints and pressure points in my body. And as I was going up the hill, I would cut. There was 3 knives, and during 3 parts of the hill, well, actually, okay, this was not a hill, it was a cliff. And I was like grabbing onto the roof and trying, like, it was really intense. It was like fighting against myself, actually, because it was my body weight. So it was like this, like, internal, like, no, we're getting up the hill. I'm going to get to the end where I get to cut all of these weights off. And so I did that, and it was a crazy experience. Like, I just wanted to cry afterwards. And I think I did, because I was just like, the first time we tried the performance, I actually got stuck. And that happens with performances sometimes, is like you have it all planned out and then something really.
Right. Did we lose you?
Sorry, my bad. I got a call. My mom keeps calling me. Sorry, guys. So
looks like we've lost our connection a little bit. We'll hang on for a little bit and see how everything's going. Maybe she'll be able. There she is.
Am I back?
Am I back?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I had to actually answer.
Okay.
She wouldn't stop calling.
I know. I understand.
She was getting candles for me to melt down for some of my stuff. So
nice.
She was like, "Are these right?" We're like, "Okay."
You should have grabbed one of the big blocks that I got, that Coral gave me up at Alfred that time. You should have got part of one of those blocks or something to use.
Oh yeah, I was thinking I need the wax I have is super brown, and I kind of want it to be more opaque. So I'm hoping that these give it, and it's also super sticky right now. So I think having half candle, I bet a lot of people are
probably add paraffin to it.
Yeah, the paraffin, like, will definitely give it some grit that I need. So, but anyway, and then, so I did that piece, and then I also did a performance where I did cover myself completely in slip, and I like danced on a bed of raw clay. I gotta do this performance again, because the experience and the tracking of all of the pressure that was transferred to the floor clay, and the crackling of this layer of dry slip on my skin really showed you visually where the connection points were in my joints, and like where it really started like peeling off, and like literally visual energy was recorded. And that was a really cool piece. And I think that, like I said, there's more there that needs to be explored. Definitely.
Where does that lead into some of this new stuff that you've been working with, like the fabricated piece that we were working on the other week, and some of the taller forms that you've worked on this past semester going into now, like the peaks and the valleys and everything?
Oh yeah, peaks and valleys. that's been a new thing for me. So I got into grad school, and I was like, no more messing around. Let's not avoid things. And so I've been wanting to do work about sexual assault and this idea of networking and being there for people with sexual assault. And so I started surveys, reaching out to people, and just kind of like left open questions for them. Like, I don't know who any of these people are. I just wanted their stories that I could read and understand.
Anonymous.
Yeah. I wanted to read and understand their stories and kind of take it on a little bit myself. And so I started handwriting all of these stories with bleach on sheets. But at the same time, I was just making these columns out of bed sheets in the baling wire in these giant, they were almost like human vessel like columns. And the idea of those were, I called it unstructured rise, because when it comes to sexual assault and sexual trauma, in the healing process, like, you have the weight of wanting to collapse and not continue to go on anymore. And then you have this, like, the people around you that, or at least in my experience, the people around me kept me going. I would have collapsed into like a Death Star of, explosion. I would have taken everyone out with me though. Yeah. If I was a star. But having those people around me and that network of other people that have gone through something similar, I knew that there is an importance to be an advocate in art, and I wanted to give people that. So I started writing their stories down and recording them, and then I made these columns, and they're so interesting because they're kind of like figurative, because they're like kind of moving around, but then they're also like, their presence is so nice. Like, they're strong, but they're also like divoting in some ways. And like, these aren't like columns that you see that support a building, but they're still rising, which is, I think, what I was really trying to go for with the piece. And then my plan now is to take these bed sheets of my story and their stories and weave them into these columns with these bed sheets, with the text, where you only, because I found when it was just like the full stories, just in the gallery, just hanging up on the sheets, it's too jarring. And I think that, having them there, but not as readable, is a crucial next step for the work, in my opinion, because you have to be careful with work like this, where you don't want to keep reopening a scar, but you also want to be subtle and show the importance of just like, hey, my stories are with their stories. Definitely. And we're still rising, and we're still structured, and we're still going about our daily lives and doing normal stuff. And that also goes for like how to treat people with like, if anybody opens up to you, just like be there for them, be their support system, give them space, give them structure, and just be there and connect with them, do daily things, and make stories, because stories are the best. And then I have this idea of this performance that I'm gonna do with a vessel that's made out of bed sheets that I can actually fit in, and I'm going to be writing my story. I think I'm trying to still decide. I'm pretty sure it's going to be my writing from the inside. I'm going to be completely sewed into this capsule, and I'm going to write until I get down to the bottom of this capsule, and then I'm going to like slice my way out of that, and I'm just going to emerge with a dress made out of bed sheets. Like, that's my plan right now for it. It's so in the new processes, so I know that it's going to change, and it's not going to be that. But this idea of rebirth, and like being there and being present and wearing it as a thing, positive thing, a beautiful thing, like, that's the best way, in my opinion, of how I've been dealing with it my whole life. So yeah, and just showing people that, like, wear it and accept it, and just go about your business and be empowered and empower others. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then the peaks and valleys.
Yeah, do you have that bronze piece handy?
Oh yeah, I do. So the one thing, throughout this whole thing, and all last semester, I thought I was going to go through this like mental breakdown because I knew I was reopening a scar that I didn't need to open, but I wanted to. And sometimes it opens unnaturally, but I wanted to do it. And so then at the start of this semester, I came in strong, and then I had this this bubbling feeling, this like, oh my God, the like, all of this trauma just randomly, one random day, just like bubbled right back up to its full peak. No, nothing weird in my life changed. And so then I started thinking about trauma as these like peaks and valleys, and which it is, and it's unstable. Like there's no pattern to it. It's like a natural landscape where there is just like these things that can trigger you to get bubbled back up, and then you got to settle your ass back down. And it's
Right.
hard. And that's what the support systems around you are good for. But so I've been like immediately, I was like, I need to make work about that idea. The idea of just like peaks and valleys, and then just dive into that idea, because there is definitely something really interesting there. So I made this bronze. Oh God, it's so heavy. So heavy. Let me flip it. Oh. So I made this. Oh God. Let me see if I can get the light really nice.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I made this form. It started off as a cone, like a horn shape, and then I just started putting pressure points on it, and I started pulling, and every single point stretches to the other. Kind of the ideas of like pinpoints on fabric. And so I went about doing stuff like that, and I'm going to have a form next to it. Got a little postponed because I was going to do an aluminum one, but not right now. That will happen later in life. And then I did this cool wall piece that it's not finished yet, but the idea is I started with a flat surface, and I just started carving into the sand mold until I got all of this like little landscape. Kind of looks like an alligator, which is kind of interesting. It's very aggressive. These are very aggressive.
You cast the wall piece, the cast iron, down at St. Michael's, didn't you?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago.
The boat shop.
That's one of our favorite spots to hang out, down at St. Michael's.
Here was this big Bertha one that I should have made a core for. Still.
Oh yeah.
Still mad at myself for not. Guys, make cores. There's always never an excuse. So I started playing around with scraps with this one of actual bedsheet scraps from my.
That was the elastic outer of the fitted sheet, wasn't it?
What? Yeah.
It was the fitted sheet.
Yeah. And so, because I couldn't really use those with the sewing machine, it would like destroy the sewing machine.
Right.
So I was like, I need to save these for a piece. So I started putting them on these peaks and valleys on this styrofoam shape that I made. And so these guys are still so new, and I feel like with this one, I definitely want to paint it or do something with the surface, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to let it marinate. But I'm trying to think. I forgot my coffee.
I know I'm about out of tea, and it's cold now, so.
Yeah. Oh, here's let me flip it again, because people probably know maybe what I'm talking about, but maybe not.
Yeah, if you have either the fabric and stuff.
Here, give me a second. There's going to be an earthquake for a little bit. Earthquake.
Jeez, my battery's getting low. I thought I had it charged all the way up.
Okay. So, this is one of my favorites. The purple did some really cool stuff. So, they're like almost readable, and they are readable. Most of it is readable, especially with this purple sheet. But I really like where it started pulling. But the back, and this is what started the performance for the vessel, where you see it from the back, it becomes almost unreadable. You know what it is. It's hard. So then that's what started my idea for this performance piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know it's text, you know it's there, but you're like, what in the... Like, you can read some of it, but there's something really pretty about the back.
Right.
And then here's the vessel. Sorry. There you go. You can kind of see it. Yeah. So it's like kind of unstable. So like you're gonna see me pressing against the actual vessel while I'm trying to write these words. And that was the one thing about the bleach that I wanted to start documenting. Like everyone saw the end product, but they never saw the leaching and the bleaching as a process. There's something so beautiful and subtle about it, just like bleeding until it just stops.
Right.
So,
Very
cool. Say hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hello. Well, that pretty much covers most of the topics I had, and since my phone is about to die,
Yeah.
try to wrap up.
Yeah. Oh my God! Does anyone have any maybe questions? Do we?
Yeah. Or well, my last question for you is: do you have any, like, and as my mind goes blank, any words of wisdom for the viewers before we ask for questions?
The one thing that I always struggle with is not feeling very intelligent and not very smart. I don't write well. I try. I work as hard, and I have some people that Lauren helped me through it. But you're smart. You're creative. You make these amazing things that not every person can do, and so we're all intelligent in our own ways.
Yep, we are.
And I always like to say that. And also, I'm trying to think what else. Be connected with others and stay inspired by others. Don't look at other people's work and beat yourself up and say, why am I not making... Don't compare, because like I said, your work is awesome and you're doing your own thing. So I would say that's definitely my advice. And positivity is my
always the ray of sunshine.
I try. Some days are not so sunshine, but go with it and relax. And Popo is in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, one just pulled up in the parking lot next to me too. Crazy timing, right?
Yeah, crazy timing.
Well,
but yeah, I think that's what I got.
Yeah.
I guess if anyone wants to message any questions really quick.
Anybody have any questions before we sign off?
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna go make some homemade queso dip with fajitas, I think.
Oh man. I was supposed to fast till 6 and I just couldn't do it. So, cool. I don't think I see any question. Oh, how important is process in your work?
Yeah, for the win.
Oh, such a good question. It's really important. I definitely think, especially with the stuff I'm doing right now.
Right.
Originally, it was not so important. Because I feel like the end product, but then again, maybe not because with the performances, I was showing the process of the performance. Like, so maybe it is really important. Yeah, I think so. Man, I don't know why I'm struggling answering this question.
Well, I mean, with process, it's according to whatever you're working on.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think with the fabric stuff, it's so new for you, or the the drawing on the fabric, that it might, like, you'll probably start expanding and documenting it, videotaping while you're writing, and or like a stop motion type situation, and going from there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
so.
options for showing the process, and I've got to learn how to do that better myself, especially with those burn pieces.
Oh, I know. I feel like that's the part of your artwork where you're just like fangirling. You're just like, yeah, you didn't get to see this, but I got to see it the whole time.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, how do I give this justice? Because none of you really got to see it. So I think that I think it is important, but finding that balance and making it not too important is definitely a thing to always strive for. I hope I answered that, Katie. Okay, and then
said how you deal with artist block, lack of ideas, frustration, etc.
Breathe. It's natural. Peaks and valleys. You're not going to be on all the freaking time. And guess what? You just got to either. I tend to either. I go one of two ways. I relax and I'm like, okay, we're not gonna do this right now. I need a little mental break because I go like 500 miles a minute.
It really does. Like, you're up here, you think you come back down here sometimes. Calm it down.
Yeah, and so I think that be accepting of those moments. I beat myself up for those moments, and that never helps. So I think looking back and really zoning in on a single idea is a good way to start back. And that's what I did with the peaks and valleys, where I was thinking about trauma and all this stuff, and I was just like sexual assault and all this crazy. And then I was like, you know what? This is too much. I don't have any good ideas. What is going on? So then I started really compressing and honing in on a single idea. And that is definitely a really good way, because then it was this like good explosion of like, I would have an idea and then I'd have another one. Then I would think about this.
You have to let things like simmer and cook. Yeah. While, like, you don't feel like you're being productive per se, but I know that you're so much like me. We always have to be doing something creative. And I think that's part of it, is like just constantly be doing something that keeps your juices flowing, but maybe put it on the back burner for a little bit.
That's definitely
pick it up.
Yeah.
And then also like distill down, like take things and bring them back in as you need to.
It's like a crab trap. Just go set it. Go. I don't know why that just like jumped into my mind. I only did that once in my life, but you just put it down. You'll come back and wait for the crabs, and then you have a crab feast. Can't wait.
Welcome to Maryland, y'all. We gotta talk about crabs.
Woo!
Say something about Old Bay before we end, or J.O.
J.O. and Old Bay.
We got it all covered.
Is listening. He would say J.O.
Yeah.
I don't have a good supplier near me for J.O. So.
Next time we go to the store, we need to get our own.
Yeah, if you haven't tried it on all of your food, then you're living your life wrong.
Chicken salad, potatoes. Old Bay is good on everything.
It does not disappoint. I do not put it in my coffee, though. I will say that.
You haven't made an Old Bay latte yet?
Maybe a Bloody Mary?
That can work.
Bloody Marys are good, but too bad they taste like cold tomato soup. Still can't get past it. Doesn't matter what you doctor it up with. I'm still just like, no. Just give me all the components in separate bowls. I'll eat them. But yeah, cool. Awesome. I hope that helped with all the questions. And thank you, Lauren. Oh my God, for doing this. It's so good to talk about my work and hone in and answer any weird questions. You guys probably think I'm
glad
great.
That you were my guinea pig. Speaking of guinea pigs, how are they doing?
Oh, they're great. Oh my God. They're in with my mom in the office. Hilarious. She's like,
Are
she'll
they
be
squeaking
in a
out?
conference. She'll be in a conference meeting and they'll just be like, she's like, dang it. She goes, they get water all day long. And I'm like,
Yeah.
good.
That sounds
trying
like
to
seeing the
Let me
cat
see.
hollering
They're
every
still,
morning.
they're still
Water.
alive. But here they are. This is
Hey,
Russell.
babies.
Lola. Lola just
She
came out.
stuck her head out.
Yeah. So those are my babies. And then Bailey. Come here, Bailey.
There's that sweet baby.
Yeah. So, coronavirus pros. Pet your animals and snuggle.
Yeah, you got to, for sure.
So,
well, I think that's a perfect sign-off spot, and hopefully I'll save this properly this time, and have it posted up later, but it'll be up for 24 hours. If y'all have any other questions, let us know, and just hit us up later, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Bye. Oh my God, thank you.